I love short wheelbase four-wheel drives. My first vehicle was a Suzuki Sierra, and I've since owned a bunch of short wheelbase Patrols. When it comes to this new Defender, I have to say it didn't really set my world alight. It was too much of a discovery than a Defender, and I think the internet agreed. In saying that, now that we have this short wheelbase 90 series, I think we've got a Defender again. So what we have here today is the base model D200 Land Rover Defender 90. Now this is a stripped out model with coil springs, but there's also a few extras like alloy wheels and this nice trim here and a folding roof up the top, which we'll get to later. So while it is a base model, with these additions, this vehicle comes in at over $95,000. Now that's a bit of a bitter pill to swallow for what is essentially a base model short wheelbase, and let's be real, a play toy. We've already covered on-road reviews, both in Wheels and 4x4 Australia. So if you want to watch those videos or read those articles, you can click around here and find the links to those. We're focusing purely on off-roading today. So what have we got? Well, it's a 3-litre turbo diesel, which makes an absolute stonking amount of power. So inside this Defender 90, it's just cool. It's the only way to put it. There are a lot of throwbacks to the previous generation, but there are a lot of modern touches as well and a lot of modern technology. We've also got this massive screen in the centre, which is the real brains of this unit. It controls everything from, we've got a compass, I've got wheel information telling me my rear diff is locked or unlocked and the centre diff if that's locked. There's slope assist to tell us what angles we're on, and if we've rolled the car, that'll tell us we've rolled, just in case we didn't know. Wade sensing, that's a cool feature. So it's a 900mm wading depth, or maximum wading depth, this vehicle can handle. And that's actually going to tell us what we're doing if we go through a river crossing, show just how high we are and if we're exceeding that limit. There's also a lot of cameras, and they're really quite flash. There's an on-road, off-road, and towing camera in this rear view mirror. Basically that's an analog style glass display. Flick this and it's a digital display which actually has the camera mounted on the top of the roof at the very back. Now this is the stripped out model as mentioned, so we're talking vinyl flooring, cloth seats, nothing extravagant. But for me that's just how I like my four-wheel drives personally. This drive-away pricing on this car is over $95,000, so it's pretty hard to call it basic when it's that expensive. The real question is though for me, is how it performs off-road. On the dirt, this thing absolutely handles like a charm. So we do have the coil springs as mentioned, not the adjustable air suspension. And I think for me personally, I'd tick the box for the adjustable air suspension, just for the versatility. It's kind of cool as well, but really being able to tailor your ride height to suit the terrain, that's a pretty handy thing. And it's not very expensive either. It's only $1,300 or $1,400 more to get that option, so you can't be mad not to tick that box. But in saying that, the coil springs in this ride absolutely sensationally, really well dialed in. In terms of other vehicles in this field, I suppose you've got the Suzuki Jimny and the Jeep Wrangler. This Defender 90 wipes the floor with them in terms of vehicle dynamics in this setting. On fast dirt road driving, this is hands down the best short wheelbase four-wheel drive I've ever driven. The turning circle is greatly improved with this Defender, and obviously being the 90, the short wheelbase, it's really nimble. Now one issue I do have with this Defender and the entire Defender lineup is parts availability from the aftermarket in terms of things like bull bars and snorkels, raised air intakes, that sort of gear. You really are sort of being held ransom by the dealership because they've got a wide range of product available through Land Rover. But this is Australia. I want a bull bar. I want to put a big winch there and I want a proper snorkel. So the fact that, at least in Australia, we're not really geared up yet in terms of aftermarket accessories, it could be a bit of an issue if you're planning on doing a lot of long-term touring. This magic button here, if I push that, that's an entire folding roof section. Now this is an optional extra, and it's $4,810. So as our fearless leader Matt Rodonigus, the editor of 4x4 Australia, says, you have to really want that feature to justify the cost. It's not noisy, which is weird. There's no wind noise. I've had this on the highway. You don't get your hair blown around. Not that I've got any hair thanks to my DIY COVID cut. But it's a nice feature and it's really well done. Well, that about rounds out the dirt road driving and the other features and things like that. So let's drop some tyre pressure, engage low range, push some diff lock buttons and have some fun. We're off the fast dirt now, we're in some more technical stuff. So what we've done, put in neutral, we've engaged low range, which is as simple as just pushing this button here, and it works really quickly, it's really easy. So we're looking to find some more technical stuff to really test out the traction control and see how this independent suspension performs. So let's go and try and get ourselves into some mischief and see if we can find the limits of the vehicle. I think we're going to struggle. I think I'm going to run out of talent before the car does. Now, something else worth mentioning is the long travel throttle pedal. Now this is a really traditional thing for rovers, and it might seem a little bit weird, especially on road, but when you're off-road, having such a large amount of travel lets you dial in the settings just perfectly. Now again, being a short wheelbase vehicle, we've got a really nice ramp over angle, but by nature with this Defender, it's got very limited or very little overhang at the rear of the vehicle. So you should nearly basically climb walls before you have dramas. The main limitation I see is on the front end. It's pretty limited in the clearance there. We've certainly not hit it, but it's come into contact on some obstacles. I'd really love to see a proper good looking bull bar on this thing just to fix up that approach. This is a good opportunity to use these cameras because we're going to straddle this really disgustingly chopped out section. It's too deep and undercut to drive. So I can actually see either tyre where they've got to be. So it takes all this guesswork out. Your navigator's now unemployed because technology's just replaced it. That is cool. We're going to climb up this nail a little bit here and get this wheel off the ground. Whoa! That's fighting now. I think we probably pushed that a bit too far there. That was great. But the car did it, it sorts itself out. What a cool car. This is a good four-wheel drive. I didn't think I'd like it. I like it. So how do we summarise it off-road? Well, this base model Defender, coil springs, vinyl floor, it rides well, the gearing's good, you got 8 speeds, you got low range, you got traction control modes, excellent departure angle, excellent breakover angle, it's nimble, it's got a good turning circle. It's just $100,000 for a toy, really. That's the biggest problem, but I'm not here to tell you what's expensive or not. That's up to you. I personally think this is a great vehicle. I'd love to own one. I think it'd be a hoot, especially if you could add some really good quality aftermarket accessories. So I'm looking forward to seeing what comes of this platform in the next few years in terms of aftermarket gear, because it's definitely got a lot of potential. This is a good all-round vehicle, something a bit quirky, a little bit different, and it's definitely got that cool factor, that wow factor. Now from the start, I wasn't really expecting too much, but I have to say my expectations have been completely smashed. This thing is pure dynamite off-road. With all the technology built into it and the extra cameras, it's absolutely fantastic. I'd love to see a little bit of lift, and I think if you were buying this model, I'd definitely tick the box that said air suspension, because it's going to be a really big improvement off-road in terms of being able to tailor your ride height for certain obstacles. Now the big question, well the $100,000 question nearly, is this Defender 90 class leading in the short wheelbase vehicle category? Well, I'm going to have to say I don't know. But if you'd like to see us compare this with the Jeep Wrangler and the Suzuki Jimny, please let us know in the comments below. And please say yes, because I kind of want to do it. I think that'd be a fun day at work.